What's that? Howls from the woods, movement under the water, something you notice out the corner of your eye, but you look, it's gone. This is Cryptid Talk. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing well, had a good week, and I hope everyone's ready for the weekend. Because as you probably have heard before on the Friday ones, that's me as well. I'm looking forward to the Friday one as for the weekend as well. Especially with work and all the fun stuff. It's always nice to have a nice little good weekend and everything like that. So, let's see. Anything before we really start? I just hope you're all. I just hope you're all doing well today, and hope you're ready for another fun, exciting episode. Yeah, I didn't really have anything super duper, planned out for this one or anything. Just I guess maybe I could have. I could have probably thought of something, but eh, I really got nothing. And I guess we'll just you know what? Actually, before we even start, if this is your first time here, welcome. Uh, my name's Michael Madden. This is Cryptid Talk, and welcome to the show. And hopefully, if you were brought here by someone else, someone recommended, or you saw this through some other means, or you found it, hit that like button. Let's see how many people hit the like button and see how many people were found in the other ways. And let's see, anything else? I guess a lot of other stuff we'll get to at the end. But I guess we'll just get started. So I went through a bunch of different ideas of what today's episode would be about and everything, and because as some people have you heard that sometimes during these episodes I think of ideas during the episode sometimes I'm like I don't know what I should, what can I do and stuff like that and everything, but and because I know if I don't write I know if I don't write it down I will forget. And so, obviously, I try to do my very best. And, if I have to, say something during it, then, it is what it is kind of thing. Anywho, today's episode, we will be talking about Lizardman. Obviously, if you probably already saw the title, you kind of already know where we were going with this anyways. Lizardman is one of those cryptids that, like, when you think about, like, all right, like, what are the cryptids of, the United States? Let's start there first. And, you got, like, Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, Mothman, Lizardman, Dogman, stuff like that. And when you really do think about it, there are a lot of man cryptids. And so, when I was starting to think around, like, Dogman, I was like, okay, I could do Mothman next or Lizardman. I was like, no, wait, no, let's try not doing man cryptid, like back to back to back to back. And I even had the same thought about that after I did Mothman. I'm like, okay, let's let's not keep doing that. So I was trying to spread out on the man cryptids because it's surprising how many there are, and there's a few others, but if I'm thinking off the top of my head, I think this might be one of the last, like, well-known man cryptids. I mean, sure, there are a few others and stuff like that. Sorry. A little bit of yeah, got a little thirsty there. And so, yeah, so I think this might be, like, one of the last known, like well-known man cryptids. There are a few other ones. I'll probably get to them at some point. But, I think Lizardman is probably the last known one. And a very interesting one too, which you'll find out about shortly. But Lizardman is probably one of those cryptids that a lot of people have heard about in some form or fashion, because everyone has heard about Bigfoot, Mothman, Jersey Devil, and then you start going to, like, the other ones like the Flatwoods Monster, Lizardman, Champ. and just a bunch of other, a bunch of, and like, obviously, Dogman and stuff like that. And you start hearing about all these different cryptids and everything. Sorry, hold on a second. Sorry. All right, so Lizardman is another very interesting one. And what we'll be talking about today is some stuff that I've known about, and we'll kind of be going off of some topics or just some information about it and everything like that. But let's roll back the clock a little bit to when it all started, where we roll back to 1988, and we go to South Carolina, where stories of a mysterious creature started to appear. A creature that was terrorizing locals and terrorizing the wildlife and everyone around there. Sorry about that. Anyhow, so it all started in 1988, where, trying to make sure I'm not going too far. Yeah, okay, yeah, this all happened the same year, 1988, where a person's car was severely damaged. Actually, hold on. Yeah, okay. And a car was severely damaged by something. It had scratch marks, bite marks. The car was pretty much torn to pieces. The creature, told by locals, was about 7 to 8 feet tall, very strong and muscular. It had the face it had the face of like a lizard, aka the name, and or the also like the scaliness of it. Oh, hold on a second. I just remembered something to mention later on. There we go. and so yeah, and this happened on July 14th. A call to police was about a car that had been severely damaged with scratch, bite marks, and prints all over it. Now, there was also, around the same time, there was another car that was also damaged like this. But this one car supposedly was actually caused by a pack of wild dogs that had damaged this. And it's impressive that the damage to it was pretty impressive. But every so often, there have been other car damages like this. And sure, there come in some of these cases where some of these might have been dogs. But then some of these just didn't seem like. 'Cause a lot of times with pack of dogs, normally they're pretty loud and everything like that, and but and surprising enough, the they were able to cause damage to the people's cars and everything. So, sorry, hold on. What are you doing, little buddy? What you looking around for? No, sorry, the cat's just looking around a little bit. Yeah, he's been a little freaked out, like he's been scared of something in the apartment. There you go. Go explore. There you go. Anyhow, so with the cat, so all these things started happening, these weird things and everything, and there were some possible sightings here and there, but nothing really too concrete. It wasn't until that same year where probably the first real sighting of the Lizard Man happened. The sighting that rocked the world and rocked the town. And to this day is probably one of the most well-known Lizard Man sightings to date. And if you've heard this before, you probably know exactly what event I am talking about. And if you don't, well, you're going to find out now. So it's all happened on one night where a man named Davis, 17-year-old Davis, was driving home from work late at night, and on his way home, he had a flat. So unfortunately, he had to pull off the side of the road and start changing his flat tire. I believe it was right around the time when he was done changing the tire. He heard something, noise of something behind him in the field, and he heard like this. Something heavy was moving like this, and everything. And next thing you know, he turns behind him and sees this big, tall, hulking creature charging at him from the field or from the woods, freaking him out. Which then he then gets into his car and then drives off. But before he can drive off, this creature jumps on top of his car and is hanging on to the top of it. It takes Davis to him swerving and speeding up to finally get this thing off his car. It rolls off. It then runs into the woods. He then goes straight to police, telling the police about his encounter, and obviously not believing him, but seeing that is the true fear that was in his face, decided to look into it and everything, or at least take it a bit more seriously, just on how terrified and scared this young man was. And so, hold on, hold on, is that where? Hold on, I'm sorry, just testing something real quick. Okay. And so, he described the creature as a 7-foot tall creature, scales, sharp teeth, and just a lizard-like face, and or going with the name and everything. Sorry, throat seems a little dry tonight. And then ever since then, newspapers went crazy about the story. Everyone in town knew about it, and they're all wondering, will they be next? Will they be the next ones attacked by the creature? No one really much was attacked after the fact, but more so people, started to see it, or sort of see it more often. Had had some weird things they would notice and everything. And again, all this happening, in July of that year. Let's see. The local once all this really started to pick up, the local radio station offered a $1 million reward for its capture. Now, actually, hold on. Now I'm actually curious. I forgot to look up this earlier. Is the reward for Lizardman still? Come on, the spelling still there. Okay, now this is good. There's Lizardman is used in a lot of different forms of media, so it was showing a bunch of other things. But it's kind of interesting that I forget what it was for. I think it might have been for Nessie or some other cryptid. There was a reward for the creature that I believe that was from like the circus or something. That apparently is actually still a thing today. So I don't know if this one still is, because this in reality isn't super duper long ago, only from 1988. But who knows really? But of course, no one was able to claim the bounty. No one was able to get any sort of hard evidence or anything of the creature itself. Just some sightings and maybe some muddy footprints here and there. But of course, as the summer started to die down, reports of the creature also started to dwindle as well. It all seemed to all start up. When it started, there were a bunch of sightings and reports of the creature. And then all of a sudden, it just started slowly going down to where the reports were getting less and less. And where a man apparently faked a video of... Hold on, let me try and write it down. Yeah. And there was a video that this man tried to drive up some, popularity of the creature, trying to refurbish the hype. Yeah, it is the hype, but not like the proper word. But we'll say, just for the sake of it, the hype for the creature, and try to because some people were making money off this thing, selling like merchandise and everything, and people were really going off of it. But when reports started going down, interest in the creature also interest that's a better word for it. Interest was starting to to die down as well, and people were not really buying the merchandise as much for it, and so people tried faking a few things to try to bring back the hype and everything like that, the interest. And but unfortunately, in the end, it kind of just dwindled down here and there. And also, where this happened was the other name for the creature in the area is the Lizardman of Scape or Swamp. So South Carolina became a real hotbed for Lizardman sightings and everything around the area. Being seen in some of the local swamps and rivers and lakes and all the bodies of water that were around that part of the area there. And so, since unfortunately by the end of that summer, sightings pretty much seemed to come to a halt. And if there were any sightings done, they were very few and far between. And with the occasional, some sightings would be seen here and there. Some very weird interactions and beings were seen in the swamps. And of course, some more damage to cars and everything. So why that would, why it started dying down is kind of interesting because we won't. I gotta do this every episode. I gotta readjust a little bit of how I'm sitting. So obviously we won't. I won't go too deep into it yet of what I consider it to be, but we can kind of mention a little bit. It's like, why would the sightings start, and then all of a sudden would all of a sudden then just die down? So it's because unless the creature moved on or something along those lines, the reasoning for it doesn't make that much sense. Could because the one thing that was really interesting on how the one interaction happened, this was also kind of in a where Davis's encounter happened was kind of in the middle of nowhere. It really wasn't near any houses. It was just along a road near some swamps and some forests and fields. So it would be kind of very odd if someone just so happened to be waiting there in a suit just to freak someone out who stopped by. And it's not like there was anything there. This young man just unfortunately just had a flat tire and was just changing it there. So someone could be sitting there forever and for hours and hours and hours. If they have very little people go by, but then especially if you have any reason to stop to actually stop, because this encounter the creature showed itself after he had already changed the tire. If this was someone actually trying to do a prank or something along those lines, they would have done it in the middle of the process of it, not when he's done and can get away kind of thing. But I mean, I'm just going by just logically of why someone would do something stupid like that, how they would do something stupid with that. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but very interesting nonetheless. All right, let's see. Okay. So yeah, so then why did it stop? Why did it stop and everything? Why did things just seem to happen to go down? No one really knows for sure. But now here is, and then of course every so often there would be some sightings, stuff like that, like I mentioned before. But now here is the plot twist. Lizardman sightings or creatures similar to it are not just secluded to the swampy regions of South Carolina. All over the world, there are some sort of Lizardman or reptilian humanoid sightings. Because Lizardman was obviously, the main name for the one in South Carolina, and then Lizardman here and there for other places. But reptilian humanoids are a worldwide phenomenon. There are a lot of different stories everywhere about people seeing these creatures and everything else like that. To where it would be kind of interesting on how can something like this be possible and everything like that. Hold on a second. Do. Sorry about that. I had to respond to an important text. Why are you freaking out, bud? So these creatures started to, have been seen all over the world. Some that are very similar in a way, some that are not. And so it kind of makes you wonder, like, are all these things related? Are they not? Like, what's the similarities, between them and stuff like that? Because like, some of them look very similar in a way, but then at the same time, a lot of them do not. So, what is the like? Is there even a similarity to them? It's kind of like you can kind of make the discussion a little bit, when it comes to, like Bigfoot and stuff like that. Now, it's kind of a hard comparison to say, because as far as most people were, everyone, like, every region that has a Bigfoot calls it something different. But with Lizardman, though, as far as I'm aware, they might be like some, like, region, like there might be some regional names for some of these things, but a lot of times in just in generic cases, you got Lizardman here in, the United States and, more in South Carolina, but everywhere else in the world, similar creatures like this are more of like a reptilian humanoid, and that's pretty much like the very well known, well known common name for these things that are said, like, all over the world. So it's kind of like a very broad term for them and stuff like that. Like, you know, big, for like, okay, we got Bigfoot, Yeti, Skunk Ape, Yowie, Yaren. There's a lot of different names for these things. but the, like, Lizardman, like, or like reptilian humanoids, don't really seem to have just a very generic name, with the only real difference between them, besides, like, they're not being a name, is just, the unique characteristics of them, because some of them look a little different compared to others. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So it's kind of interesting when we think about it, where how are we having all these things, like, how, like, where, God, I don't even know where you can go, because there's so many directions of where I can go and everything like that. Now, okay, so we'll go like this then. The generic description of Lizardman, we'll go back, into Lizardman for South Carolina, was always seen as, again, a tall, green, hulking creature that looked like it had scales, sharp teeth, and glowing red eyes. The other interesting thing, that a lot of times with some of these stories, there would be, reports of it having a tail, but then there'd be some stories of it having not being a tail. And after looking at the Lizardman sightings that were done there and stuff like that, it came down to where most of the sightings, people actually said it didn't have a tail, or can't recollect if it even had a tail or not. They just said, like, oh, it had a tail. It's like, did you see a tail? It's like, well, no, I think it had one, kind of thing. People kind of just assumed and put together that they saw a tail on this creature, when in reality, some of these reports, more or less, people agree with the cryptid, that the lizard man does not have a tail. Now, that's again here. But now, the interesting thing, we start hearing about these reptilian humanoids in other parts of the US and of the world. Sometimes they have tails, and again, sometimes they don't. And these are people saying that they saw a tail on it, and people said they didn't see a tail on it. And the other description about them is that sometimes, they have, like, that, they're seen as like that, that lizard-like head. Some people describe the head being a little bit more like crocodile or alligator, so crocodilian in a proper way of saying it. And so, instead of, like, the generic, like, lizard, look into it. Because if you look up images of the lizard man, it has like the long nose, but it's a bit more, like, shorter than, like, you would consider, like, like an alligator or crocodile kind of thing. Well, their noses are much, their snouts are much longer, but with the generic lizardman ones, they're not normally described as such. And it's kind of interesting, because when I said earlier that these things were seen on all over the world. Now, I didn't look too deeply into it, but or at least into a lot of the areas. But some of the areas were showing, Antarctica. So who knows? But they were showing Alaska. They were showing Canada. We got other parts like Europe and Russia. Like there are some sort of reptilian humanoid like creatures all over the world. And so now we try thinking of like, are these things related in some way? Are they not? That's the thing we're trying to see, because the size and the look, again, the size of these creatures also seem to vary as well. Some of them describe them as like the generic, like big, tall, hulking creature that looks strong, and like the lizard or crocodilian like head with sharp teeth. Then some people describe them as still being tall, but not as a hulking creature, but a bit more skinnier and not as violent in a way. Because the other thing about a lot of these Lizardman like sightings is that they are seen as aggressive, like with the first encounter with Davis, where the one attacked and jumped on top of his car. And a lot of these, and there's some other stories of these people seeing like these lizard-like creatures, and they're like chasing them through the woods, and they have to evade them, and they're just complete remote areas that are nowhere near where Lizardman sighting is supposed to be, and see like this weird lizard-like creature in the river, and next thing you know, it stands up on two legs, and and then walks up the riverbank or wherever, and the person who saw it was dumbfounded. So kind of shows that these creatures are a lot more widespread than obviously just one area, which then start getting the idea of whatever that like, what are these things? So let's see. Gosh, I am talking kind of fast today with some of this stuff. Anywho, so let's get into some of the theories for it. So this one I heard before on Monster Quest, and there's one science. Now, bear with me for this theory. There's no real, as far as I'm aware, there's no real evidence behind this. It's just a possible. There might be some more evidence that I'm just not aware of, but from what I could tell, there's no like super duper mega evidence to go off of this. They're more just comparing it to something else. So again, just you don't have to believe it. Just hear the theory out, and then you judge it for yourself. So the one theory that is for Lizardman and the reptilian humanoids and stuff like that is that they're dinosaurs. They are a species of dinosaurs that evolved to where they went down the same path as early primates. So a lot of primates, didn't really stand on two legs to a point, or like stand up or anything like that. They're mostly, quadrupeds, being on all fours. But the theory is that this one species of dinosaur called the if I'm pronouncing correctly, the Troodon was pretty much like a little reptilian, not reptilian, a little dinosaur that, and the best way I can describe it, I can't remember. If you've ever saw Jurassic Park, those little green, little annoying little pack dinosaurs, no, that's not Gallimimus. That was the bigger ones. Oh, Compies. I think that's a nickname for them, like Compassaurus or something like that. But those little green guys. So they kind of look very similar to that. Obviously a little bit bigger, but look something that's similar design. And his theory was that they would evolve to where they would lose the tail and could evolve into a way where they stand up and pretty much stand straight and stand up like a humanoid will. Obviously not getting to the point of being able to like talk like humans in a way. So it's kind of like, think of it like this. The idea would be is I'm just gonna give I'm gonna be the information I'm not gonna give exact information or anything like that, but just a concept or idea of where I am going with this. So imagine it took primates three, um, 10 million years. I'm just going to go with that. It's 10 million years. It took 10 million years for primates to become the ways that they started being able to be a lot more smarter and being able to do things that start leading them towards, you know, evolving into, Homo sapiens, into humans that we are today. So it took them 10 million years to get that. And then, again, just saying a number, another 10 million years after that to then for where we came into play. Again, I know this isn't correct, just getting the concept. So they had 10 million years to start becoming being primates where they were a bit more smarter and, could start setting up and, being starting to be like modern day primates, and another 10 years to where they then became, where we can turn into us, smart intellectual animals. This man's theory is saying that where it took 10 million years for primates to become, primates in the way that they are becoming smart, these dinosaurs took 20 million years. To where by 20 million years we were around, but for 20 million years for them, they became like these primate like, creatures. Again, now I know it's not the exact number, but just giving you like an idea. So that is interesting in a way when you think about it. It's like it's like interesting because the guy also did say that it's not like they'd be able to talk like us or anything like else like that. That'd be like, for them to get to that point would probably be then like the next like 20 million years for them to maybe get like talking humanoids and stuff like that. But that was the guy's theory and the theory that would how, if these Troodons were able to exist into modern day, that they would have evolved into this concept. Now, I would say that if you're interested in learning a bit more details about it, more of the specifics, and maybe some more information on why he thinks this, go look it up on the internet of Lizardman of reptilian humanoids evolving from dinosaurs, and read up on it. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept of like an idea that I don't think many people would even ever consider. Because like for me, for example, the one theory, I can't say it for all cryptids because most cryptids do not have a fossil record, but in the case of Nessie, we'll just go with that. The reason I started my one theory I have for Nessie is because they always say that, all right, if Nessie is a plesiosaurs were not completely aquatic. They did have to come up for air every so often. And then people would say, like, okay, well, if Nessie is a plesiosaur, why don't we see, Nessie popping popping its head up more often to take air? Well, my theory, if you listen to the Loch Ness Monster episode, you can get the full rundown of it there. But I'll give a brief thing of it here. But if that's the case, then Nessie may have evolved to where it is able to hold its breath for much longer and doesn't need to come up for air as long. Or maybe it doesn't even need air at all. But I would think that if anything, it learned to where it could be able to come up for oxygen a lot less, to where, if people, maybe for some reason they can last 24, maybe they can last I don't know, 18 hours, and they come and take up their breath, and at night where people won't see them, or maybe they go into the underwater caves where there are some air pockets and they can get air there. I just think that it's possible that for some of these cryptids like Nessie and maybe even Champ and other things, that maybe they evolved to be able to do differently than they're doing. Because obviously, we know evolution is a thing and what has come from it. But could we say that evolution could be the source for everything? No, but I do think it's a theory that some people really need to consider for the possibility of some of these cryptids and for some of their unique traits if there was some evidence for them. Because obviously the evolution of Bigfoot is, that's a whole other thing that I have some ideas, but obviously that's a whole other thing that we may not even know or even get an idea, or take a very long time to even get any sort of idea about the creature itself. But now, a lot, obviously, of course, with a theory like that a dinosaur could possibly evolve into a humanoid creature like this, was obviously met with a lot of criticism and scrutiny. Because, if you go by, like, let's see, like chickens, ostriches, cassowaries, emus, they're all relatives of, of the ancient, they're ancient ancestors of, dinosaurs and everything, because of how, because that evolution did. So why would evolution pick this dinosaur in particular to evolve the way it did? Because on how evolution works, evolution changes something so that it can adapt and be able to survive as times change. But again, evolution takes millions of years to happen, so it's not just gonna be like, oh, in a few years, that duck over there is gonna be able to climb up a mountain with its tough feet. No, it would take a lot longer for it to evolve to that point, but at some point it will get there. But why would this thing evolve like this? I Because let's see. Because the only thing I guess we know with primates and everything, why would primates evolve to where they became, us? Because we are apes. We that's science. It's been proven we are apes. We all have, like the tailbones and everything like that and everything. So so if we think about that, like, why would humans? Oh, that's a note I wish I kind of thought about earlier. But why did humans evolve the way we did? And to be more stronger, more intimidating, and to be able to handle the animals of the time, and just evolve from there, and just you know, I get that I'm not an anthropologist, and that's not even the right word for it. But I'm not one, so really good with like, evolution and stuff like that. Of humans, I probably should, if I'm looking into the Bigfoot topic. I probably should get more knowledgeable in that. And I think that's probably what I'm gonna get into knowing that soon. But I don't know the full reason of why apes evolved to to how we are now. But I could probably take some guesses and everything like that. But I think that's probably something I probably should look into for if I'm going into the field that I will be going into with this. Then, of course, the lot of scrutiny that came with it, besides the actual theory itself, is that there's like a lot of people believe that there's no way that it would evolve to such a point that it would still evolve into a point where it would still be like that, that generic dinosaur shape, you know, has the long tail, horizontal in a way, like this is that very generic giant kind of dinosaur look, and it wouldn't evolve to a way where it stands up vertically like us with like hands and feet and everything like that. But it's definitely an interesting theory, and I mean, until proven otherwise, anyone's theory is really as good as anyone's. Sure, yeah, like our is Bigfoot like an interdimensional being or anything like else like that? No, I don't believe so. I believe Bigfoot is more of a physical animal that lives on the planes of our existence. It's an animal of this planet. But I'm not going to completely shut down any of these more crazier theories completely, because we don't know for sure. Until it's proven, anyone's theory, it could be right. Obviously, at some point, there's going to be that one correct right theory, but whichever one that is, I don't know. I'm going to believe more it's probably like some sort of ancient humanoid that evolved into the way it did, or something along those lines. But we don't know. Like any of these cryptids, we just don't know until we say one way or the other. Another interesting theory that I think a lot more people who are interested in the topic of Lizardman and is more widely agreed upon is that reptilian humanoids, I'd remember to say that, are extraterrestrials. Because a lot of times people have seen them, like if they've been like the people that have been abducted and do remember what they saw. Sometimes remember seeing like these some sort of like reptilian humanoid like creatures, staring down at them or anything. and some jungles over in Vietnam and everything. Vietnam, ooh, that's a good one. Vietnam had a lot of really interesting stories with yeah, I'll find the page again, with cryptids and everything else like that, and like Vietnam cryptids. I forget what that one was. And so they told stories of seeing like these reptilian humanoid creatures walking in the wood, walking in the jungles, but were like glowing and just terrified the soldiers that saw it. So some of these characteristics and just things behind it, the people could possibly be extraterrestrial, and that's like the one what would you say, not excuse, but like the one theory that a lot of people go towards with a lot of these stranger cryptids that don't seem like physically possible, like at all, like no fossil record, like there's nothing in this in science, so it can't possibly be real. And the one thing that people agree upon who believe these creatures are real, and that they're more extraterrestrial. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I could see why people would see that because of how they look and everything along those lines. But it's hard to say for sure. What people are saying that they are and everything else like that. Sorry, just distract a little bit. The cat's been kind of freaked out about something in here. He's been just kind of curious what he's looking at and everything like that. Anywho, so they have these so the extraterrestrial yeah, them being extraterrestrial, because there have been some accounts of these reptilian humanoid creatures popping up in some places. There was one where if the story is true, of this little girl had a friend that was in the closet. And the little girl asked the mom, was like, "Oh, mom, can we have some tea and like some sandwich? Can I with my guests, having a little tea party thing." Like, okay, like, haha, imaginary friends, give the child the stuff and everything like that. Goes and checks on the child, and sees that sorry, and sees that she is talking to something in her closet. The closet door is open a little bit, and sees her offering the closet a sandwich. Next thing you know, this reptilian hand pops out and then freaks the mother out. She grabs her child and runs away. Next thing you know, she, I guess, calls police and like that, and they come, and there's like this tunnel that was under that. There's now like this whole like tunnel in the closet that leads off somewhere. And and everything, like, and he's like, "Oh, those are my friends." Like, those are my friends. We were just having a tea party. Like, obviously, if that thing or thing really wanted to hurt her, they obviously would have, and everything like that. So, are they as aggressive? Like a lot of animals, some are more aggressive than others, and everything. But then, of course, it then starts getting into the more mystery behind it. Is that after this, government officials came and inspected the area, asking, like, what happened, like everything like that. They told them what happened and everything. And they're like, all right, well, just keep quiet about this, and everything's okay. So it's stories like that then where people start getting like the government, conspiracy theories of what some of these cryptids are and everything. And then let's see. And so it's kind of like so now it's like a lot of other cryptids. Some I believe that they might be investigating some of these cryptids in some form or fashion. Are they directly behind all of them? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were at least looking into it in some way. I wouldn't be like, there must be some people who are interested in the subject and probably look into stuff, here and there along those lines. And because there have been other stories dealing with other cryptids that after the encounter with some of these things, the government came and either cleaned up or be like, "Hey, you didn't see anything, or else," kind of thing. So hard to say. I mean, like, it's like that whole thing, like that there were black helicopters taking possible Bigfoot from Mount St. Helen after it erupted and there was a fire and everything. No, I don't believe that. But I believe in some of these cases, the government is at least aware, but how involved into it they are, I don't know. It's hard to say. Some other interesting theories about we're gonna dial it back a little bit to the Lizardman in South Carolina. One possible theory that some people suggested for at least some people say for all the sightings, some of them say for some of them, but for people who have seen like a big hulking creature that didn't have a tail and was terrifying, some people believe that some of these Lizardman sightings, believe it or not, actually might be Bigfoot that is covered in moss and mud. Because if you've ever seen like dried mud on like a riverbed or anything like that, like it cracks and looks like a little like a scaly pattern in a way. And so words. And so people think that Bigfoot, is coming, and obviously the swamps, have a lot of moss and everything. They swim and then they come up, they're then covered in it. So people think like, okay, well maybe a Bigfoot, was in the swamp, got covered in mud and moss, and then the moss and everything like that made it look like it was actually covered in scales, but in reality it actually was just covered in moss and mud. And so it's like, okay, so I kind of like that as a theory that some of the sightings that people have reported for it, because there are Bigfoot in the area. But the report of one cryptid was actually just another cryptid that was just covered in in nature, and I actually find that kind of cool that people actually went along with that theory. I'm like, all right, people, I see you. I'm glad that people are obviously as time goes on, Bigfoot is becoming a lot more of an accessible thing in society and everything. Obviously, still people that won't believe until it's proven, but that's just how it is. That's science and everything. Now, I don't believe this theory. It's definitely a fun one for sure, but it's just another one of those conspiracy theories out there that explain the whole reptilian humanoid thing or what they're doing. Like, if reptilian humanoids are a thing, like what are they doing here, kind of thing? Are they actually aliens? That kind of thing. One of the theory, again, bear with me. I don't believe this theory, but it's like one of like the most well-known like conspiracy theories for reptilian humanoids is that reptilian humanoids is that they are replacing or are world leaders and people. So one of the theories is that that the Queen of England was a reptilian humanoid, and there was this one video of her like changing skin for a moment, like her face. It was a little weird, and I've watched the clip and the so-called moment where it happens. I don't see anything because it was just more like out of curiosity. Like, no way. I looked. Okay, I don't see it. I looked into other things and stuff like that, but I didn't. And people say for other world leaders, and again, I don't believe it's true. It's definitely a fun, interesting theory for sure. But I mean, hey, if that's what you believe, well, whatever. As long as you're not hurting one with it, go for it. I don't believe that, but it's definitely interesting nonetheless. But reptilian humanoids, Lizardman, is such an interesting concept because obviously originally, I heard, the Lizardman from South Carolina. But then I started hearing stories of them, being in other places that like Alaska, Canada, the West Coast, the East Coast, Central United States, the jungles of South Korea and everything. Like, the fact that these things are popping up everywhere really does make you wonder, like, are these aliens? Are these something else? Are these evolved dinosaurs that evolved into, they're able to look more humanoid? I don't know, but it's very interesting. And so overall, what are my thoughts? I'm not sure. I can see some of these theories being possible because obviously the idea of the Lizardman itself is already outlandish as it is, because it's just a crazy idea. But I do believe that reptilian humanoids in some form or fashion, Lizardman, whatever you want to call it, are real. There are too many people who have reported seeing these things, not just in South Carolina, but other parts of the U.S. and the world, who have seen these reptilian humanoids and have described them in a way that are so different from each other that they're obviously not all reporting the same thing, or in some ways in different parts of the world, but they all have like these very unique interactions that, you know, so many people, like all these people can't be lying about seeing these things, because a lot of people have reported, have submitted these stories and told these stories anom- anonymously. So they're obviously not trying to get any sort of, they're not trying to get anything out of it. They're just like, hey, this is my story. This is what I saw. And so it's like, okay, so I believe that there is something going on. What exactly Lizardman and these reptilian humanoids are, I really don't know. Could there be possible that one group could, be this, could just be like this strange creature that's just been around forever, or like something from like the center of the earth, like the whole like hollowed earth theory that there's tunnels under the earth where all these unknown creatures live? Could some of these be aliens? Could some of these be this? It is very much possible, especially because on how different these creatures are described. It's very possible that they could all be different, or but again, that's, it's obviously hard to say until we get some full proof. But with all like these little theories and stuff like that, anyway, your guess is as good as mine of what I believe Lizardman is. But what do you think? What do you think Lizardman is? Do you think Lizardman is some sort of burrowing creature that has been here under the earth all this time? Is it an evolved dinosaur that learned to stand upright? Is it an alien or something else? Put down in the comments below what you think Lizardman is, and if you've seen anything Lizardman like or anything. I would love to hear it. Uh, let's see, Bigfoot Moss. And I think that's going to be it. I've got really nothing else. I wanted to make sure, because there were a few, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything for this one, because I have for a few stuff in the past. I'm like, that stinks. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this one. Lizardman is one I want to talk about for a bit, but I want to wait till a good time to do it. I think I think now's a good time. We didn't do a man cryptid last week, so let's do this one. Yeah, again, if this is your first time here, welcome. And hopefully you stick around and share with a friend, like, share, comment, subscribe, all the normal YouTube stuff. If you, all right, actually, before we close up, I do have an email, cryptidtalk91@aol.com. If you have a story about anything cryptid wise, if you've seen something, heard something, you've got pictures, videos, someone that's seen something, send them my way. And also, if you're nervous about sharing a story, because a lot of times some people are scared to share their stories because they don't want to get scrutinized or anything along those lines, don't. Not with me. I've heard and read a lot of different stories. I've only experienced some Bigfoot activity myself on a BFRO expedition, so I'm still a greenhorn to a lot of this. My feet have hit the ground, but my feet haven't hit the ground running yet. But I want to hear your stories. I will not judge. I don't care how crazy they sound, how long the story is, how short the story is. Come to me. I would love to hear these. I would love to hear stories if you have them or know someone that has. And I won't judge you at all. I'm curious about these stories. If you've seen or heard something that especially if you've seen something that you don't know what it was, or someone that again has seen something that, like, I saw this creature and I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what to do. Send them my way. cryptidtalk91@aol.com. Email me. I would love to, if we ever get enough of these stories, to have some episodes of me, reading stories and talking about them. And of course, in your story, and when you email me, you don't have to give me your exact. All you can really do, you can give me your first name, or the first initial, your first name, your first letter, or you can give me some other fake bogus name. I don't care. Whatever you want me to call you, tell me. Or just anonymous. Anonymous is completely fine. But don't be scared to tell. Don't be scared or nervous to tell me. And if you're out there, if you're listening to this, and you're like a boss or some of you lead other people, if people tell you tell you a story, they've seen something, don't blame them for it. It's not their fault they saw it. They just happened to be at a place at a time, and they saw something. It's not their fault. Don't don't make them feel bad for something that they didn't plan on seeing. So send them my way. I would love to hear stories. And again, also again, I follow the Facebook page, facebook.com/cryptidtalk. And of course, the YouTube channel, subscribe to it and hit the little bell icon for notifications, because I got stuff in the works that I want to do in the future of like little shorter in between episodes, between little specials between the main podcast episodes and everything else like that. Because obviously, I'm only doing one video a week, and and I'm trying to add some bit more substance stuff between the episodes, so you can get your fill of cryptid talk and everything cryptozoology wise. But I think that'll be it. So remember, keep your eyes and ears open for the creepiness in store, because you never know what you'll find outside of your door. This has been Cryptid Talk with Michael Mann. Have a good day, everyone, and stay safe. And I care about you all.